the state senate, and the second time you ran, you were counted out and you won that race. You were counted out when you were running for attorney general, and you won that that race very easily. And you're fighting hard in this race. Tell everybody what you're up against here.
Well, we've got, as you said, Planned Parenthood is in for over $1 million, and people need to understand in Virginia there are no limits, so these groups can come into no limit. Michael Bloomberg has spent $2 million coming in to bash me because I'm a defender of the Second Amendment, God forbid. Oh, I said God, too. Yes. And then so we got the billionaire from New York City. We've got a billionaire from San Francisco, Tom Steyer, a radical environmentalist, who spent over $3 million. And all they do is trash me. You know, one thing I say to audiences, Mark, I stand in front of them and I say, can any one of you here, and I've said it in Terry McAuliffe's presence, and he doesn't even answer it, can any one of you here name one positive plan for Virginia that Terry McAuliffe has explained to you and how he'll pay for it, in a TV ad, in a debate, anywhere? And then I just be quiet for a moment, and nobody can name one, including Terry McAuliffe, because all they've done is the politics of personal destruction, and they've spent us into the dirt and lied through their teeth. And we keep plowing ahead. We're fighting Obamacare. We're fighting for lower taxes. He wants more energy, Second Amendment. I mean, the contrast here is very stark. And you know what we found out today, Mark, is the president is coming to Virginia to campaign for Terry McAuliffe this week. And I think that's a great way to end the race. I think that if everybody focuses on the fact that President Obama and Terry McAuliffe are two peas in a pod. On big health care, they wanted the Obamacare monster. They both want to expand it farther under Medicaid, compared to me, who, as you said, was the first attorney general to fight it, first attorney general to beat it, who opposes the expansion. I mean, how much failure do you need before you finally say no? It's a stark contrast, and if people want to send Washington a message, in Virginia on November 5th, they can tell Washington they're fed up with the D.C. politics, they're fed up with Obamacare by voting for me on November 5th.
And yet, Ken Cuccinelli, if you lose, then the left and others are going to try and spin that and interpret that as an Obama success, that people support Obamacare, and on and on and on. Isn't that correct?
Oh, absolutely. That's most certainly what they're going to do, and you know, we can't let them get away with that. Frankly, we've got people out volunteering like crazy. We're outworking them while they're out spending us, and we need help in Virginia. We need donations at Cuccinelli.com, and we're going to push this thing right through the tape at 7 o'clock next Tuesday, November 5th, just like I always have. And, I mean, one of them was so close I won in a recount, but we've won them. And we do every time the people who believe in first principles come out to support us.
Cuccinelli.com, Mr. Producer. Let's get that up on my social sites, folks, from all over the country. We can use your help on this one. No question about that. I mean, McAuliffe's getting, you heard, these big left-wing organizations pouring millions into this race. I think there are millions of us. Just a small support could be very, very helpful. Isn't this McAuliffe under investigation for some incredibly sleazy investment?
Actually, several of them. He used to brag about his business prowess until everybody figured out it was all lies. And in fact, the last company he was with is now embroiled in 2 federal investigations, and one of them directly involves him for pushing through getting Chinese citizens, rich Chinese citizen, a green card to invest in his company, even though there were security risks associated with that Chinese citizen. And so now this is the Mayorkas investigation that you've probably talked about on your show. McAuliffe was the guy who was jamming these Chinese citizens through, and he didn't care about America long as he made his money. And so that's one federal investigation. The other one is the Securities Exchange Commission looking at the shady dealings of this company, Green Tech, that he was the chairman of. I mean, I don't know how many investigations people need before they start to wonder. And then just 2 weeks ago, we found out that he was, and this sounds weird when you say it, it's close to Halloween, he was investing in these insurance scams that made money when terminally ill people died. It was a life insurance scam, and he had owned some of these sort of ghoulish investments when he ran for governor in 2009, and he didn't report them. as the law requires. And so now there's a scrum going on about that. I mean, it is one thing after another.
Let me ask you about the last thing. So the guy invests money in this scam that basically is betting on who's going to die when.
Right.
And what's his defense? He didn't know he was investing in this?
Well, you know, it's real interesting. The minute it became public, within hours, he wrote a personal check for $47,000. And can I just say for a moment, I wish I could write a $47,000 personal check at a drop of a hat. And I mean, he's made his money off a lot of these little scams and schemes that victimize other people. And here he disgorges this money and said, oh, this was all the money I made. But the indictment that was released by a President Obama prosecutor, a federal prosecutor in Rhode Island, showed he got a $113,000 check for one guy dying. He got paid when this guy died. I mean, who invests in this? This is unbelievable. And he won't release his tax returns. He won't be open with people. He immediately lied about it. He doubled down the next day, lied again, and like you said, he said, oh, I didn't know anything. Bull honky, folks. He signed a piece of paper, like your life insurance policy, that had the terminally ill man's name and signature right there next to his. It had to. This wasn't some company he invested in. He signed a contract on this man's death. And 3 weeks later, the man died. And he let the money ride out on the stock market. He let it ride in this little
All right, let me
for 2 more years.
Let me ask you a couple of quick questions here because
Sure.
of the types of ads that are being played in Virginia, and I've told the whole nation about this. Is it even possible for an attorney general of a state or a governor of a state to prevent a woman from securing contraceptives, given the Supreme Court's rulings for the last half century?
Yeah, it isn't a new concept. This goes back to the 60s and the 70s court's rulings by the U.S. Supreme Court. So, and Terry McAuliffe is a Washington, D.C. lawyer. He isn't even a Virginia lawyer. He's a Washington, D.C. lawyer. He certainly went to class in law school once in a while at least. He knows that he's lying, and he doesn't care. I mean, one thing this guy brought from New York to Virginia is chutzpah. I mean, he lies like he's taken a drink of water. It is nothing to him, and I will tell you, I'll admit it, I haven't quite figured out how you deal with that. How do you deal with it when he'll say anything, literally anything, to fool the people of Virginia and get elected?
And not only that, you have newspaper editorial pages endorsing the guy, even though they know he's spending tens of millions of dollars lying about the law, lying about your record, lying about what you could do even if you wanted to do it.
Absolutely, and they don't seem to care, but, you know, that's a lot of the rest of the media. That might be part of why you're so successful. People actually get another perspective here, you know, something called reality.
Let me ask you this question.
And if people, I will tell you this one quick shot, Mark.
Yes, sir.
The truth is my friend in this race. The more people know about me and my record of fighting for Virginians, fighting against the federal government, fighting for liberty, and the more they know about Terry McAuliffe's sleazy background and frankly, the investigations he has running now, the better I do. The better I do.
And this notion that he's a businessman, he's a huckster. He's a sleazeball. He's a conniver. He's a fundraiser, and he's not really a businessman. And he wants. Here's my concern. Many people have moved into Virginia from other states. They've moved into Virginia from Maryland, from Delaware. They've come here from the District of Columbia to escape the smothering taxation and regulation of the left-wing knuckleheads and goofballs and kooks. And this guy represents all of that. He will literally change the nature of Virginia if he becomes governor, will he not?
He will, and this is a governorship first held by Patrick Henry and Thomas Jefferson, which I got to tell you, when I even say that, is a very humbling thought to me. Mm-hmm. I don't think my opponent even knows that, and he doesn't care.
It amazes me how he gets away with being so superficial in the media in this state, and not just the written media, but the broadcast media, even radio hosts. They just think this is some kind of joke or something, or it's not a joke. And more than that, like this is some national campaign he's running, and that Obamacare and so forth will be reinforced, and people will show they approve of it if he wins. This is a concern I have.
Yeah, no, I share that concern. Obviously, my first focus is Virginia, but it is not lost on me what the significance of all this is. And I would also tell you that as the sort of victim of it all, I believe the left has essentially adopted a new strategy, and it is to lie through their teeth and spend us into the dirt. And that's what they're doing in my race. And they assume that, first of all, correctly, the press will not call them on it. There are newspapers in Virginia are not calling McAuliffe out on all these lies, even when they identify them. I mean, the Washington Post hit McAuliffe in an editorial for saying the Medicaid expansion would fund all these promises he's making all over Virginia, like it was a magic money tree. And then they go on to endorse him. It's unbelievable. Actually, with the Washington Post, it's completely believable. But this
they're
Obamacare
fanatics.
is central to the race, and for them to acknowledge something like that and then go the other way is insane.
We're running out of time. Give me the 3 or 4 core reasons people in Virginia who still aren't sure what to do should vote for you.
Sure. I have literally been fighting Virginians my whole adult life, whether it's fighting sexual assault, homelessness, juvenile delinquency, working on behalf of veterans, working for the mentally ill. My opponent never did anything, not one thing for Virginians or Virginia before he ran for governor. That's one. 2, you want to send Washington a message? Terry McAuliffe embodies Washington right down to his very core. You gotta beat Washington by beating Terry McAuliffe, and you can come vote for me. I've been fighting Washington. 3, Obamacare. You want to vote against Obamacare? A vote for Ken Cuccinelli is a vote to hold back Obamacare. A vote for Terry McAuliffe is a vote to expand it. And number 4, I'm for lower taxes, $700 a family to grow 58,000 jobs, and he's for higher taxes, $1,700 higher for a family of 4. So there's the quick 4, Mark.
All over the country, if you want to endorse Cuccinelli in this race, he can use your help against the forces on the other side. It's Cuccinelli, right?
Double L. Cuccinelli.com. And we can sure use the help, folks. $50, $500, whatever you can do, we need it all to fight the unions, Planned Parenthood, Michael Bloomberg, and these radical environmentalists.
Well, you're a good man, you're a decent man, you're a family man, you're a patriot, you believe in liberty and low taxes and private property rights, you believe in law enforcement, you believe in this state, and I wish you all the best, Ken. God bless you.
Thanks, Mark, and I'd appreciate your vote. I know you're a Virginia voter, too.
No, that won't be hard. All right, man. God bless. Yeah, don't forget to turn out. These are turnout elections. And by the way, I want to mention a dear friend of mine who I've known forever, who's a great patriot as well, who's running for delegate, Barbara Comstock, in the McLean area. Folks, you got to turn out. All these delegate races and state senate races and so forth, that'll be a big issue as the nation looks upon Virginia and, quite frankly, looks upon New Jersey, too. But a shout-out to my dear friend Barbara Comstock, who is an exceptional delegate, and just pay attention to this. This is not only a Virginia race, it has national implications, very important implications.